Hello, PBC family. Last week we talked about discernment, and I encouraged you to start asking 4 questions to help you grow in the skill of discernment. And those questions were: what is being said? What opinions, what information, what data, what facts are being presented? What do you find attractive or repulsive, and what is being made to seem attractive or repulsive? What do you agree with? Where do you disagree, and why? This is where we go into God's Word and to look at the wisdom that He has given to us. And then, what difference does this make in your life? I'm going to continue to talk about different aspects of helping us grow in discernment, things that we learn from God's Word about this skill over the next few weeks as we go through July. And this is such an important skill in our world today because it's hard to know who to believe anymore. And tonight I'm going to talk about our gut reaction. Have you ever heard anyone say, just go with your gut, just trust your gut? Now what they're saying is to trust your instinct and your intuition about a situation. And the reality is your instinct or your intuition about that situation may be correct. And there are some people who seem to just naturally have greater intuition about things than others. But if we are to grow in discernment, we need to make sure that we are not blindly following our gut reactions. See, our gut reactions are something that our brain does so we don't have to sort through every situation thoroughly. See, our intuition is something that our brain does because our brains are great at learning and recognizing patterns. And so what this means is when we encounter a situation and experience something similar than we have in the past, our brain is going to recognize it, and subconsciously it's going to respond to that and help you respond in a similar way than you have in the past. And so if someone treats you in a certain way in the past, your brain is going to recognize and go, well, if someone treats me like this, this is what that means and how we should respond. If you read or watch something and you might see a word or a phrase or an idea, and that might trigger something, that might be a gut reaction for you to go, oh, they're part of this group, or they agree with me, or they think this way because they used that word, that phrase, they expressed that idea. And our gut reaction can be both positive and negative. But no matter what our gut reaction is, we need to be discerning. We need to be able to step back from the emotions that we're feeling and everything with that, and be able to still look discerningly at that situation. Go through those 4 questions and just be thoughtful, because that is what we need to do in order to be faithful to Jesus. We see the Apostle Paul doing this in the book of Acts, chapter 17. In chapter 17, verse 16, it says, "While Paul was waiting for them in Athens, he was greatly distressed to see that the city was full of idols." Now, we can easily read over this verse and miss the gut reaction that Paul is having when he came to Athens. We're told that he was greatly distressed. This is a word that can also be translated that he was provoked. He was irritated. He was aroused to anger. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt provoked or distressed or aroused to anger? This is what Paul was feeling when he came into Athens. When he looked around and he saw all the temples and all the carvings and all the idols and all the ways that people were worshiping them, there was an offense that Paul felt towards this. And there was a lot of emotion that came up because of how he viewed idolatry. And the idolatry in that city was so great that it provoked and it greatly distressed him. But Paul didn't stick with his gut reaction. He was able to step back from it and see the need in that city. And because of that, he began to proclaim the good news of Jesus there. And then Paul is invited to speak at one of the most significant and prestigious locations in Athens, one of the places of great influence. And listen to how he begins his message in verses 22 and 23 of Acts 17. "Paul then stood up in the meeting of the Areopagus and said, 'People of Athens, I see that in every way you are very religious. For as I walked around and looked carefully at your objects of worship, I even found an altar with this inscription, to an unknown God.' So you are ignorant of the very thing you worship. And this is what I am going to proclaim to you. Paul did not let his gut reaction, his initial experience in Athens, drive what he did. He didn't let his great distress and irritation at their idolatry lead him to believe, man, these Athenians are hopeless. There's nothing I can do. I can't even talk to them. I mean, they are so deceived. I am so offended by all of this. I can't even have anything to do with them. That was not what he did. Instead, he is able to discern that the idolatry that was there is actually an open door for the message of Jesus. That these people were actually spiritually starving, and they took their spiritual quest so seriously that they even built an altar and a temple to an unknown God in order to make sure that they weren't missing or offending anyone. And Paul recognizes the spiritual hunger, and he takes that altar and he discerns that this is a bridge that I can build to the people of Athens so that I can present the gospel. This God that you are looking for is the one I am going to tell you about. If Paul had not been able to step back and discern through his gut reaction, he would have missed this opportunity to proclaim the good news of Jesus to the people in Athens. Your instinct, your intuition, your gut reaction to a situation could be right, but it could be wrong. And this is why we need to seek, as we seek to live in faithfulness to Jesus and be discerning people, we need to learn to step back from that gut reaction, sort through those emotions. We need to let that gut reaction become a sign and a signal to us to go, you know what? There might be something here that I need to think more deeply about. There might be something here that I need to reflect on. There may be something here that requires discernment on my part, because things might not be what they appear to be on the surface. We are going to continue talking about discernment over the next couple weeks, and I hope that this is helpful and encouraging to you. I also hope that you have a great rest of your week and that you sense the presence of God with you in whatever you do.